Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here today, and you should be too. And today I got this. And this is a pre-made holder for a pendant of some sort. You know, you make the rock, the stone, or whatever, and you put it in here. And it's actually pretty nice. Made out of wood, it's got a nice little cord with it. And I thought that would be ideal for a shell. And I haven't done many shells recently. And I thought, boy, these here would be ideal for placing the shells in. So, that's what we're going to do today. So, what I need to do is just need to double check what size this is. And if we look here, yep, that's about the size we need for putting into this pendant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this stone. It's not a stone, it's a shell. And I take this shell, and I believe it would look better with the grain running up and down. Well, I guess it won't matter because it's a circle. Duh. So I'm going to find what is the best looking spot here. You see we got a crack right here in this corner, so I want to stay away from that, if at all possible. And I'm going to take and do that. And I'm thinking, let me see that. Yeah, that's almost exactly the right size. That would be way too big. That one's way too small. So if I cut this shell and leave that line around there as I do it, that should be ideal to fit in there, and I can super fit it once I get it down to about the right size, or roughed in basically. Then I can get that to fit tight inside that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get onto the wheel and we're going to start shaping this thing. So, let's get on it. Okay, I got everything. There it is. I went and outlined this a little bit better with some marker so that that stays on there a little bit better than the pencil would. So, first thing we got to do is, oh, we're going to trim this down to the... Ooh, okay, got to be careful. Okay, these are fragile. I keep forgetting about that. And also, my water's not working. There it is. Yeah, if I hog down too much on there, these shells do flake apart. So I have to be somewhat gentle with them, especially on this rough wheel. You see pieces are flaking off of there. Adjust that little bit. There we go. And that's the thing about working with shell. You've got to be a little bit gentle. Look at that. I got stuff flying off the back. Oh, I forgot how fragile these were to mess with. They're not too bad once you get down. Oh, there. Look at that. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to use this rough wheel. Yep. It's actually been a while since I've worked on some shells, and this one actually seems a little bit more fragile than the others. So, you know, we're going to go over to the 600 grit, or the 300 grit wheel. Okay, now we're at the 300 grit. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I forget sometimes that these shells they will flake apart when you're working on them, so you can't really go crazy when you're trimming them down to size. When you're doing the polishing on them, it's not as bad, but getting them to what you need if you want to actually want to shape them, yeah, you have to be a little more gentle with it. even cutting them on the trim saw, you gotta be genteel with them. Okay, so I'm gonna work this, and this could take a while. You see I'm getting closer to my mark. I said you just got to be patient, and work that down. It's like everything else, you've got to be patient with it. Probably a 200 grit would do really well for this. Maybe I will get one someday. I have room for more machines. That would be ideal. And I was debating on whether I should just shape this and put it in that way, or polish it. And now they got that big gnarly in that corner, I probably will have to polish it. Now, we can't have a big old chip hanging out there. That just wouldn't look good. Nope. So this is going to take a little bit. Oop, you see, more flying off the back. Got to be careful with it. Sometimes you almost have to go this direction. So this is going to take a while. Okay. Alrighty, so I've got that back somewhat smoothed up and somewhat evened up. And you can see I've got it right about down to that line. And I don't know if I want to get too much closer. I'm going to try and smooth the edge a little bit more real quick. When I get too much closer, I want it to be able to fit in there nice and tight. I don't want it to be loose, because I'll probably lose a little bit more whenever I round it off. So I'm going to shut that off, and I'm going to grab that pendant, and we'll see how it fits. Okay, I should just take us over to the desk, but I don't want to rearrange the camera and everything. So let's see. Wow, that is so close to fitting in there. That is like almost right on the money. So I think what I'm going to do is take this down just a little bit more. Try to make that rounder by smoothing it all up this way. And once we get that to where it just fits in, and we'll see if we need to take any more off the bottom or not. And I'm going to angle this just a little bit that way. To try to get it a nice tight fit. And you know, I'm not going to probably get this super circular, but it's going to be darn close. Okay, if this was metal, I could just do it as I went. Okay, that's really close to fitting. See, it's a little loose at a couple of spots and tighter at others. It looks like right here I just need to get a little bit more down to get that to fit in. Now I'm just going to take a little bit more off of this side right here. I think that's where it was. And oh, that is so close to fitting. That is like super close. Okay, I think we can actually go with that. Now I want to take this. I don't want that wood to stay wet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on a stick, and then I can start shaping the dome out and doing a final fitting. And then we'll have it. So don't go away. Wait, there, that's better. Don't go away. Okay, we are out of focus. Okay, we're on the stick. And I'm hoping that's going to stay on there, because these things they're so smooth, they don't really want to stay on really well. So I'm going to be genteel with it. Or as genteel as I can get. And I can be very genteel if I need to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth this top down. And we're going to lose a lot of these ridges. Well, we're going to lose these ridges, but we're still going to keep the subtle colors that are in there. And this is one of the hard parts, where you gotta keep looking at this and seeing how you're going. Because you want it to be smooth, but you don't want to take all the color out and all the subtle variations. Just like anything else, you gotta take your time and work it. Now, if you get a nice dome on this, it will polish up like glass. You can see this side's really thin. So I'm going to have to try to get it down to about that thickness. You may have to do the back of these first and get them nice and flat. But we can work with it, because that's what we do. Okay, you can see we're starting to get, the colors are still there, they're subtle. But subtle can be nice. Like, sometimes I don't think people understand working with shells, just how delicate they can be. I mean, once they're done, you know, they're pretty stable. But working them, you can chip them up, put big gnarlies in them. You know, you've got to be careful. It's just like any other type of, you know, softer stone. You just can't jam the thing in there and go. You've got to be subtle. You've got to work it gently. Because these shells are made up of layers. I mean, the clam that makes the shell builds the shell in layers. And depending on how the shell has been treated by the ocean, that's going to determine how sturdy it is. You see, I'm starting to get a dome on there. I can feel it. Okay, and you can see the colors are going. I got a, oh boy, okay, I just noticed that there is a big wormhole in there, and I don't know how hollow that may be underneath it. So we may get to a point where that just chips away, and then we've got, oh, we've got basically a ruined shell. And we'd have to start over with another one. If that happens, well, then that happens. And if that stays sturdy, what I'll do is I'll stabilize that hole. Stabilize that hole with some epoxy. And then it'll be nice. Like I said, this is the very first one I've done this way. So this is an experiment. Not that kind of experiment. Experiment. So we're experimenting. Okay, I pretty much got the ridges out of there. I'm going to work on turning the edge down. I'm not working on like the setting edge. I'm just working on the edge here. That's why I have it at such an angle. You have to work that edge like it would be a cabochon. And this will be the best way to do it with the swirlies. I'm staying away from the setting edge because that's what's going to fit into that setting. I don't want a sharp edge. Now I can feel that sharp edge has disappeared. And that's what we want. So I'm going to start doing the swirlies right up to the dome. And we do have a dome one here. Not much of a dome. There, I can actually work that dome a little bit better now. And I'm going to feel a little bit of a flatness going on. Let's take a look at it. Focus. Yeah, I'll get a little bit more of that off. Oh, having a hard time getting it unwet. Unwet would be dry. Okay, well, we're getting there. I'm going to work that rough edge down a little bit more. There's not much of a setting edge in that setting. I'm going to work that down just a little bit more, I think, towards that setting edge. And you can see it's a little bit out of perfect circle. And I believe that's where that edge chipped off. I can feel a little roughness on the bottom, but I will take care of that after we get the rest of this managed. Okay. Yep, I think we've got any of the facets that's in there out. So that means we're going to pop over to the next wheel. Okay, and we are on the next wheel. And this is going to be basically polishing, so I am going to hit that setting edge just a little bit for now. And there is the, I would say, the turning edge up to the dome. And now I'm going to start working the facets out of the dome on this. And depending on the hardness of this shell, it's going to start pulling a polish already. And once I get a little bit of that taken care of, we'll take a look at it. I really like those wooden settings. And I saw them and I thought, ooh, those are going to be nice. I picked a few up and it's like, yep. And maybe that'll be a little bit nicer than some of the ones that I have been putting out. I still like the way I put out my original shell pendants, but I always like to try something new. Okay, there we got it pretty well dried off. We can get it into focus. Ooh, that is pretty darn nice. Pretty darn nice. There's still some faceting in there. And I can get most of that off, I believe. No, we want to get the faceting off as much as possible. The smoother it is, the shinier it will be. And it should polish up like glass. And that's what we want. That's not too bad. There are some imperfections in there. There's a big, deep, gnarly right there. But I don't think that's going to hurt the look, even after it's done. I think where we're at now, we actually want to go to the next wheel. I'll just hit that one more time. Just because we can. There. Okay, and then we're going to go over to the 1200 grit, and it's really going to start looking good. So off to the 1200. I'm going to hit that edge the whole way around. That's not going to take off much at all. And then let's start polishing. This is getting to be where the polish really starts. And all these shells that I did before that were just the plain shell with a hole drilled through and a bail put on, I would do all those by hand. I did hundreds of shells by hand. I rough shaped them on a 300 wheel, and then the rest of it I did by hand with them on sticks and sandpaper. I got an excellent job out of that. Sometimes I think even better than when I did them on a wheel like this. And some things you do by hand, hey, you can get a really good job out of it. Thinking about hands, I'm really glad I can use my wrist again. Boy, that was really killing me for a couple of weeks. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have. Okay, focus. Wow, look at that. That is dry and that is fantastically shiny. So this one is ready for the cerium oxide. So I'm going to take this on the cerium oxide, and then we'll take a look at the bench and see, well, let's see how it fits. So don't go away. Okay, I'm back, and I trimmed the sides up just a little bit, and then I set it in the setting, and that's when that happened. Remember that hole I was saying about? Yep. It decided to do a, I don't know what you call it. Went all buggery on me. And that was just fitting in there nice. Actually fit down in there just really nicely. And then that. And when I saw that hole, I should have really... Well, when you're doing the pendant's natural shape. Okay, so if you just pull one out, here's one. You pull one out like that, and you sort of round the corners a little bit and leave it natural. You don't really have to worry about holes in there because you're not cutting down to the holes where it would cause the structural integrity to degrade. But that's a pretty big wormhole in there, if you look at that. That was a good bit. So from now on, yeah, if we see holes like that in there, we just have to avoid them. But apart from that, I mean, look at the shine on there. I mean, you can see the reflection of the light up there. These things shine up to a beautiful glass finish. And unfortunately, look at that. That was a really good fit. I mean, there's a little bit of a gap here. And I think that was from where it chipped. That's from where that chip was. The rest of it actually fit really, really nice. So if you take your time, you can get these things to fit really nice into that setting. And I think that would have even worked. But hey, on this channel, when things go bonkers, that's what you see. I mean, not everything turns out nice. And this is one of those times. So what I'm going to do is... oh, there's a gnarly in there too. That's one thing I might have to do from now on. You can see there's a gnarly right there. I have to check these to make sure there's no gnarlies in there, because that could chip when you push the stone or whatever down in. That could cause the stone to chip. So I'm just going to have to make sure I check the settings. And well, from that, what we learned here is I can pretty well get those cut to the size we need to fit down into the setting. But today, that one defeated us. So I can honestly say that today, this shell is not a win. Yes. But you'll have that sometimes. So I will be back with another video where I cut a pendant that fits into one of these. And we'll see the finished product. I mean, you can get an idea of it from this one. I mean, that would actually have been an exceptionally nice looking pendant, I believe. Minus the big gnarly. So, if you like the video, hit the button down there, subscribe, and I'll be back, hopefully without a failure. So, thanks for spending some time with me, and have a good evening.